we're going to do some pumpkin chutney, and we're going to spread that over the top of some really nice, delicious creamy brie, wrap it in some really buttery puff pastry, and it's going to change your life forever. The first thing that we're going to do is start to concasse a tomato, and it's to get the inside flesh of the tomato. The first thing I'm going to do is take my paring knife. I'm going to cut the core out of the tomato, as you can see. At this point, I'm going to do 2 crisscross cuts in the bottom of the tomato, and I'm going to plunge it down into some simmering hot water. This is going to stay here for about 20 to 30 seconds. In deciding whether or not my tomato is finished is if the skin starts to pull away in those crisscross marks that I had already made with my knife. And it's starting to pull away just a little bit. I'm going to take it out of the simmering water, and I'm then going to plunge it down into an ice water bath. This stops the cooking process. I want to get it chilled down a little bit so that I can handle it and I don't burn myself. Drain it off. And as you can see, the skin has started to pull away. So what I'm going to do is take it from these crisscross marks and just peel the skin right off of the tomato. And now at this point, I'm going to take the core out of the tomato. And we call this filleting the tomato. So I've got just that really nice meaty flesh. Now I'm going to cut them right into small dice. Now in our pan, we're going to go ahead and use chunked up pumpkin. You can, like I said, you can use squash, any type of pumpkin. We've got a kombucha pumpkin here, an acorn squash, butternut squash would work well as well. It's very fibrous, and it's going to hold up in a long cooking process, which is exactly what's going to happen. I've got about 3 1/4 cups of pumpkin here. I also have about 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. I've got 1 cup of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of brown sugar. And we're just adding all of these ingredients right in. Wonderful aromatics, white onion and chopped up garlic. I'm adding in the tomato concasse. I'm also going to add in some dried cranberries. You could do dried cherries or golden raisins. Anything like that would be a great addition. And the flavors that I have, we have salt, ground allspice, ground cloves, and black pepper. And I'm going to sprinkle this in. I'm going to take this entire mixture and just mix it all in together so it starts to meld the flavors. This is going to be quite a long cooking process. We're going to, if it's on low to medium low, you're looking at a few hours even. So to speed that process up, I'm actually going to use a lid. We'll put a lid on it, let it sit for a while, but the thing that we want to really remember is we have sugar in here, and as sugar starts to dissolve and break down and heat is applied to it, it starts to thicken. So we don't want to burn it, and we want to continuously be checking this mixture. Now that we have our pumpkin chutney finished, we're going to take a look at the texture that it provides. You can see some of the liquid in it, but you also see a lot of those pumpkin chunks. You see the tomato and the cranberry chunks in it as well. We're going to go ahead and taste this and make sure that it has the right salt and sugar flavor levels. It's got the sweet cranberry, as well as really nice, rich pumpkin. It almost tastes as if it has a pickling spice added to it. It's going to pair beautifully with the really nice creamy brie cheese that we're going to end up using. So what I have on my cutting board right here is a puff pastry dough. So we're actually going to use this as almost like a blanket for our brie cheese. Now the beauty of brie cheese is that it already has a cover over it. It's been sprayed with an edible, almost mold-like substance that lets it go ahead and age on the inside, so when we cut into this, it's very creamy and smooth and rich. Add the pumpkin mixture to the cheese. And I want to do a light layer of it. And I'm trying not to get as much of the juice, just because then we end up adding another liquid element to it that can kind of make it tough for us to deal with the puff pastry. We're just going to make a nice even layer across the top of the brie. And I can just imagine the flavor of how this cheese and all of this pumpkin goodness is going to come together. I'm so excited. I'm going to transfer the puff pastry up over the top of the brie. Now this is where it gets to be a little tricky, and you have to be careful, because now I have to flip it over. Go ahead and wish me luck as we go through this process. Beautiful. Now I'm going to measure where I need to come up with the dough, up over the top. I'll cut off the extra that I don't need with my bench knife. Come up over the back side of it and just press it in. Flip it back over. I'm just going to shape it at this point. Okay, so now, in keeping with a really nice fall theme with the flavors that we've already started to develop, we're going to decorate our brie wheel. And these are my little pumpkin pieces that I'm going to add in a very nice decorative little display here. So as I add these in, I'm using these spare pieces of puff pastry dough that I had already cut off of the extra trimmings that I had from the puff pastry sheet. And I just cut off the edges, shaped them as I wanted to, and I'm going to apply it and end up egg washing the top of it so they all stick together. I'm adding the little pumpkin stem to the top, and of course, what is fall without some maple leaves? So we're going to add some maple leaves right up to the top and around as we see fit. So I've decorated this up. I'm going to take my egg wash mixture, just water and an egg. And the reason why I'm applying this egg wash mixture is to get a really nice dark golden brown across the entire brie wheel. It's also going to help my pieces, my spare pieces, to set to the rest of the dough. We want to make sure we get all of it and we don't leave any out. So at this point, our brie wheel is ready to go into the oven at 350 until it's nice and golden brown. Depending on your oven, things might vary, but you're looking at between 15 to 17 minutes. I'm not worried about the cheese getting cooked inside. I just want it to get nice and warm, and when we cut into it, it'll ooze out and be really nice and soft. We're looking for the puff pastry to develop and for it to puff up and get nice and brown. Our pumpkin chutney brie is now finished. We're ready to take it out of the oven, and I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to taste this. It's been in the oven for about 20 minutes. And look at that beautiful golden color. This is going to be served very well with bread. We've got some really nice focaccia right here. We also have some sourdough bread. Transfer it right onto the serving platter that we're going to use. And now we're going to cut into this. Okay, so now with this beautiful puff pastry, the golden brown, and the gooey goodness of that cheese, look at how that just oozes right out. I want you to just close your eyes for a second and imagine how beautiful this cheese and this pumpkin chutney is, and enjoy all the beauty that fall has to bring.